Keep them coming. The madness actually begins tonight, and the fun begins right now. Chinea Gumwake
Let's
back
go.
and ready to roll. Great to see
you.
Graziano's headed to France tonight, so he's just trying not to get sick. Bontemps was at the Garden last night watching basketball. Who else is up early with us this morning? Tim Hasselbeck is ready to go. Mel Kiper is ready to go. We are Get Up. We're presented by ESPN's Bet Sportsbook, and we begin with a wake-up call. Overtime drama in Minnesota. T-Wolves, Pacers, final buzzer. Take it away.
McConnell, baseline drive. Gives it up. Toppin, corner three, and rattles in. Obi Toppin with the miracle three.
Obi Toppin, 34 points. Pacers beat the Timberwolves. Something of a surprise, Bontemps, right? The Timberwolves are playing great coming in.
They were playing great, and Indiana had most of their team sitting out. Tyrese Halliburton's hit basically the same shot last week against the Milwaukee Bucks. This game, Obi Toppin hits this one. Really bad loss for Minnesota team trying to get out of the play-in. Instead,
oh, look at that jumper.
Should have won.
Halliburton didn't play. Siakam didn't play. Miles Turner didn't play. That was sort of the theme of the night last night.
Sure was.
Warriors Nuggets. Warriors have been great since they got Jimmy Butler. Chinea, the Nuggets are playing without Jokic and without Jamal Murray and without Christian Brown. And yet, Russell Westbrook and Aaron Gordon were hot all night.
He has been huge. Russell Westbrook, this acquisition this year, he's been a big part of the identity. His hustle, his grit, but more importantly, his facilitation is the reason why they stayed in this game and not only did that, but they won.
Nuggets, again, playing without anybody. We're up a dozen now. It's Jimmy Butler. Golden State gets to within 10. And then in a 9-point game, here we're in the fourth quarter. Chinea, Draymond Green. Someone needs to stop the basketball.
So, I mean, this is a runway. They're going to dare him to score, but not from like 1 inch away. Come on, guys. So he had a good game as well.
It's a 7-point game, but Aaron Gordon would not be denied. Look at him inside.
My goodness, when he plays like this, you start thinking differently about the Nuggets. Knocking down threes, playing aggressively, with the handle. He did everything they needed yesterday.
Gordon had 38. Westbrook had a triple-double. Somehow, the Nuggets win. 114-105, snapping Golden State's 7-game winning streak, and it's a bad loss. The Warriors trying to stay out of the play-in. Timberwolves right there. They lose as well. Golden State and the Clippers are a game back. Denver still in the conversation. Tim Legler watched what happened last night, and he didn't like what he saw from Golden State.
This is a brutal loss from this standpoint. You caught a break with this Minnesota game. I said they're in a battle with them right now for that 6th spot. You got a chance to pick up a game on Minnesota, who is just chomping at your heels, and you don't get it done against a depleted Denver Nuggets team to this extent. This is a really bad loss for Golden State when they were red hot.
It's a bad loss, and Bontemps, as we were discussing, it was not a good night all the way around. Obviously, Golden State losing is bad, and a game that they should win because the Nuggets basically said, here, you go ahead and win, and the Warriors weren't able to do it. But not having Jokic, not having Murray in that spot last night, tough to watch.
No, it's a horrible look for the league. This is why the NBA put in the player participation policy. They literally put in rules that said if you're playing in a national televised game, especially on the road, your stars are supposed to play. Nikola Jokic plays all the time. I just saw him in Boston recently. He's been banged up with a bunch of stuff. But you could look ahead at the schedule if you're the Nuggets. They play the Washington Wizards, the worst team in the league, at home on Saturday. Sit these guys in that game, have them ready to go for today's game and Wednesday's game against the Lakers. I was at the Garden last night getting ready for this game. Cassie Hubbard texted me in the fourth quarter and said, "You see who's Denver's playing?" I said, "I think everybody's playing." Then she sent me the injury report. Half the guys are out. It's just a horrible look for the league, and it's a horrible situation because I was excited to see what I could learn from Golden State playing these guys. Instead, they have everybody out, and even though they lost, like, the game doesn't matter.
And I also caught up on the fact that it's not only horrible for the Denver Nuggets, but then also Steve Kerr says Steph Curry is tired,
right,
and we might need to rest him soon. So you're hearing sound bites from both sides. But honestly, when I saw the game and like who was active, when we tapped in, I was like, you know what? Good for the Denver Nuggets, because that created an opportunity. It created an opportunity for Russell Westbrook and also Aaron Gordon to do their thing. And I think it sort of gave them confidence to show that when it matters most, we can still get you wins too. We are integral to this squad, because when we came into the year, not only were we saying, you know, Jokic can win another MVP, we also said that this is a team that should be able to win a championship. The big question has been, okay, is their supporting cast good enough? Is their bench depth good enough? Well, they got to win despite the odds, so I'm not going to knock shock them completely, but obviously we'd rather see our stars out there.
And speaking of Curry, let's hear from Steve Kerr. Again, look, Steph has been carrying this team, and obviously at his age, at this point, it is tough to watch him do that every single night. This was Steve Kerr after the game.
He's exhausted right now, so we've got to absolutely consider giving him a night and getting him rejuvenated for the sake of him and the remainder of our games. But we'll see. But I think he's been tired the last few games, and so we've got to find a way to get him his juice back.
So they got to sort of walk a fine line here. You got a 37-year-old star who expends as much energy on the floor as any player in the entire NBA on a night-in, night-out basis. You're trying desperately to stay out of the play-in, but at the same time, you've got to keep him ready for April and all the rest of that. It's an interesting line Steve Kerr and them have to walk.
Yeah, it is. And honestly, Steph Curry, this is the most pressure he's had playing basketball probably in his career, knowing that he does not have, until Jimmy Butler arrived, the supporting cast requisite for them to really make a push. Once Jimmy comes in, you can start to see how his game has changed. He went from like 23 points to like almost 32. But he has been doing a lot. And Greeny, you highlight a great point. A lot of people say, oh, Steph Curry, he's still doing what LeBron James and Kevin Durant are doing, but he's done it differently. He's made his buckets. He's made 4,000 plus threes through his legs. He runs so much to get free for the basketball, and that has also been strengthened by the Warriors' design. They move a lot, and so it's been a long season, and I think people don't also take into the effect, the mental toll that this year has been, to sort of have to deal with the ups and downs, and then you add in Jimmy Butler, where before he said he didn't want to, and now things are going great, and now you have a tough loss, and now you're trying to creep up the standings. Like, it's been a lot on Steph Curry's shoulders, and I think Steve Kerr understands.
I mean, you look at they're basically, for all intents and purposes, a flat-footed tie with Minnesota in the 6th spot, and the Clippers are 1 game back. Very unlikely anybody is catching Memphis. So right now you're looking at those teams fighting for 1 spot. The Clippers, the Timberwolves, and the Warriors fighting for the 6th spot to stay out of the play-in, and that's what they're looking at.
I mean, I would also say that the Lakers and Grizzlies are potentially able to fall back, too. I mean, Minnesota and the Warriors have the easiest schedules of all those teams. The Lakers have the hardest schedule left. That's why last night was a critical win for them, critical losses for Minnesota and for Golden State. But, yeah, look, Steph Curry's going to need a day or two off, but they do have to balance keeping him rested and, like you said, avoiding having to play extra games to get in the playoffs, which will have him even more tired later. But
there's a bigger picture here at play. And if we can we show those standings again? Because I feel like this year the West is wide open, apart from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Because if you're the Warriors and you're able to maintain 6, that means you're in the playoffs. Are people truly afraid? I hate to say this because this is my hometown, but we're doing some things down in H-Town. Are people really afraid of, the Rockets at 2? The Nuggets, obviously, they've shown a little bit of vulnerabilities. The West, I feel like people just want to get 6 and higher.
Right.
That's what the Lakers are trying to do. That's what obviously the Warriors are trying to do. And you've seen teams be successful at that. And I think the Warriors' recent run has been good despite yesterday's loss.
Oh, absolutely. It's what made last night so surprising. Let's show you what the Lakers did last night. Again, no LeBron. He's working his way back. But Luka continues, and they're playing the Spurs, who themselves are all hurt. First quarter, it's Luka Doncic turning defense into offense. And Chiney, someone's got to go up.
Every time I see a play like this, I'm like, this is the new age basketball. You get a fast break, you stop for 3, but hey, it's okay. It's Luka Doncic, it's everybody. This is what we do now.
And how about Austin Reeves? Spinorama in the lane.
Man, he puts you on a blender. He has been tremendous. It's been, interesting to see how his role has evolved, but he has been steady at it.
Lakers pulled away quick and never looked back. Jackson Hayes off the fake handoff, so we can call that a play-action dunk if you want to. That's a 14-point lead. And then it's Reeves. He scored 30 points last night.
Off the dribble, he's one of the best. I had this question of what do you call players that are not all-stars, but they're better than role players? And a lot of people answered Austin Reeves.
Yeah.
He's that guy. He's the definition of that.
Jackson Hayes on the alley-oop from Doncic there. Reeves scored 30. Doncic, 21, had a bad shooting night, but he did have 14 assists. Here's more from Reeves. LeBron and company can celebrate a win. Bontemps, to your point, they need to bank these wins, 125-109. So they do what Minnesota and Golden State couldn't. It was a game they were supposed to win, set up for them to win, and they took care of business.
Absolutely. The Spurs have De'Aaron Fox out for the season, Victor Wembanyama out for the season. This is the kind of game, if you're the Lakers, you have to win. They've got a lot of difficult games left, and they got to maintain that gap between them and the Clippers and the Timberwolves and the Warriors behind them. Because, look, if the Lakers are in the top 6 and they are going into the playoffs, with Luka and LeBron, they're going to feel like they could beat anybody. If they get in the play-in, all of a sudden, you got to play an extra game or two. You're potentially one game away from going home if you have a couple bad shooting games. You could end up in the 1-8 matchup with Oklahoma City, who you don't want to play in the first round. All those reasons are why that was a huge win for the Lakers last night, coupled with those losses for Minnesota and Golden State.
Yeah, and the Lakers, they truly have a big three. I love it because, you know, I think a lot of the questions have been like, okay, LeBron James and Luka Doncic are complementary players. What does that mean for Austin Reeves, who's having a great season? Is he going to be tertiary? Well, that's not a bad thing in the NBA when you have a big three of this type, not like the Phoenix Suns, let's be real here. But what I love about Austin Reeves is 4 straight 25-point game. He has been consistent. Luka, he had an off shooting night. I think it was like 6 for 20, but he had like 14 assists. So these guys can make plays for each other on top of getting LeBron James back, which is a good sign.
All right, we're setting the table. The NBA, much more conversation on that as we go. But up next, it's a national holiday. Mel Kiper has, I don't mean St. Patrick's Day. Mel Kiper has a mock draft out. That's a holiday to me. Shedeur Sanders, wait till you see where he has him going. Wait till you hear what Shedor's dad had to say yesterday. That's all on the way next. Plus, Rick Pitino has a bold idea that would change college basketball completely, and I really like it. In fact, I think he didn't go quite far enough. We're making changes today, people, as we get up with you on ESPN.